sportsNOLA.com brings you our trivia question of the evening. Drew Brees has played and started in all but 2 games in a Saints uniform over the years since 2006. What is the common thread in the 2 games that Drew Brees did not play? Well, we're all over this one. Even Brian got it. That tells you how easy that is. 2009, Week 17, they sat Drew Brees. And, of course, last year, Luke McCown played for Brees both times against the Carolina Panthers, and ironically, both times at Carolina, and both times losses. So there you go. sportsNOLAtv continuing, and it is time now for our hot seat segment where we place Brian Alley Walsh on the hot seat with a hot topic of the day. And it doesn't get any hotter than this. It's not only been the talk of the town, the talk of Louisiana, the talk of the SEC, it's really been the talk of the country to a degree because of other schools playing under adverse circumstances. Question, simple as this. Should LSU and Florida have played this past weekend? Yes or no? And why? Brian, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Trahan. Great topic, as always. My simple answer to this is no. They should not have played. And here's why I'll make this declaration now. Is one, first and foremost, is that there's public safety involved here. If you've got a Category 3 bearing down on your state that's possibly enveloping the area where this game is going to be played on Saturday, then you should do everything as a university, a state university, or it doesn't matter, state, parochial, or private, or anything. You need to take care of your people. And with Gainesville possibly being an evacuation area, a place of last resort for the storm, that is first and foremost. You have got to keep that in mind. Now, that said, okay, could the parties involved have handled this better? Absolutely, okay? And I'm going to place the blame where it belongs, in my opinion, and that is on the commissioner. The commissioner has a job to make sure that this game needs to be played. And if they can't come to some kind of resolution, then you make sure that you take care of it within a time frame that makes it workable for everybody concerned. I don't blame Florida for not wanting to release its home field advantage at all, okay? I don't blame LSU for making its decision as well. So as far as that, I'm concerned with that. Safety first, the game comes second. But I think Commissioner Sankey, instead of coming out and saying what he said immediately after the decision was made, is that they don't think that this game is going to be played because the 2 teams can't come to an agreement. Listen, that's not what you say, okay? You're making big money as a commissioner. You need to get these 2 parties down and get them to resolve the issue. The game should be played, and hopefully it will be played.
Well, you know, I look at South Carolina and Georgia. They played. I look at Notre Dame. They played. And I'm from Florida, and I know that, you know, when you're not on the coast, you know, where the weather can really bother with you, you can really go play those games. Now, if you was over on the coast where Daytona or something, where the hurricane can get into, where it can affect you, but Gainesville and Tallahassee, you know, it's hard for the weather to get there. So they could have went and played the game there, I feel like. But I mean, you know, but they choose not to play the game. So now, if neither team don't do good, then they probably won't make up that game. So that's a lot of money lost, and you know, it'll help both schools out.
Right, and I don't blame LSU for not wanting to surrender and move to a date which would put them in a 3-game road trip, essentially, against top flight caliber competition. They don't want to do that, so I understand all that. Ricky, the only thing is that it's easy to second guess. You've got Miami, you've got Daytona, you've got Fort Lauderdale. The storm skirted that issue. Gainesville was going to be used as a place of last resort for a lot of folks in Florida who were evacuating the coast area. So my only problem is really with the SEC commissioner. I think they should have resolved it and said, this is when we are going to play.
Right, and I mean, Miami and Florida State, I think they moved their game
to Sunday.
Right. They moved their game to Sunday.
Could have done that too.
Right.
Okay.
Well, you guys have done a good job as usual with breaking this down. The simple answer is yes, they should have played. It's a real easy answer. Yes, yes, and again yes. There were way too many options not to play this game. Moving it to Sunday, 2 days removed from any landfall whatsoever. Oh, by the way, Gainesville was never going to be part and parcel of where this thing was going to strike. Secondly, there were too many venues to play at. Where did LSU fly into? Tampa. What stadium was available this past Sunday? Raymond James Stadium. Oh, by the way, there's a stadium in New Orleans called the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, which was available. And then there's Tiger Stadium. What happened last year? South Carolina came to Baton Rouge and played there instead to make sure that the game was played, which is ultimately the goal in any circumstance. Somebody forgot to tell the commissioner about this. In addition to that, you have to look at the other aspects of this, and that is history. LSU went to Arizona State in Les Miles' first year, gave up a home game to do it, and almost lost the game, but they won, but they did to get the game in. That is the ultimate in this scenario. As Brian alluded to schedule this later in the season in the middle of 2 other road games, 3 in a row on the road after you play Alabama, that's ridiculous. Coach Ogeron, forget about him keeping his job under that scenario. So when you look at what happened here, North Carolina State played their game with Notre Dame. Miami played its game with Florida State. Georgia and South Carolina played their game. Why are you not playing? It's absolutely ridiculous given the options that you had. Don't give me this stuff about 2 schools can't agree on where or when. You need to be a leader. That's what leadership is all about. That's what decision making is all about. That's what being an adult is all about. Step up, be counted, be a man, man up, make a decision, tell them what to do, play the game. Instead, now you're left with a situation where people are hanging in limbo about a real championship down the road. Did Florida benefit? You bet they did. But it's not their fault. They're looking out for their own interest. The SEC wasn't looking out for its own interest. College football when we return in a moment on Sports NOLA TV.